In this trip, I'm spending 3 days climbing to the summit of Mount Baker. At nearly 11,000 feet tall, Mount Baker is Washington's third tallest mountain. Baker will have me hiking through complete whiteouts, climbing 50-degree glaciated slopes, crossing crevasses in pitch black, and getting some of the best views available of the Cascade Mountain Range. Welcome to a gloomy Friday morning. Today is the day I start my Baker summit. I'm doing it through a guide service just because I've never done technical crevasse crossing mountaineering before. So I figured just play it safe the first time. So I'm on my way to the guide location where we're gonna do a gear check. And then once everybody's all set up, then we head out to the trailhead and start the hike. This is a 3-day adventure. Today it's snowing on the mountain and raining down here. But Saturday and Sunday are supposed to be gorgeous. The rain's supposed to stop in the afternoon, so I don't think it's gonna be that big of a problem. But not even the rain can bring me down. I'm pretty pumped up for this. So as long as we make it to the guide hut, should be good to go. So I guess I'll check back in at equipment check. It's 9:15, we just finished the gear check, and now we're headed to the trailhead, which is an hour away. And good news, it stopped raining. It's still pretty gloomy, but it stopped raining. Part of the gear check was divvying up the group gear, but these guides have already done a summit this season, so the tents and stoves and stuff are already up there. So we just divvied up some fuel and food. So I really don't have that much added weight to my pack, which I'm pretty happy about. So we're doing the Easton Glacier approach on the south side of the mountain. So day one is gonna be 3.5 miles and about 3,000 feet of elevation gain up to high camp. High camp is at 6,300 feet. Day two is gonna be a skills practicing day, just because a lot of people here have never touched an ice axe or ever put on crampons before. It's also an acclimation day. There are people in this group that seemingly have never been above sea level, so we're gonna see how they handle the elevation. And then day three is from high camp to summit. It's another 4,500 feet of elevation gain. And then from summit back down to high camp, and then pack up, and then go from high camp back to the trailhead. So, 3-day adventure, should be fun. We're all just caravanning now. So it looks like the trailhead is still drizzly, but that's okay, because Sunday is still looking like a bluebird day.
And then when we do go for the summit, we're gonna hop onto the Easton Glacier, and then it's kind of a big, gentle curve up to the Sherman Crater, and then we have a feature called the Roman Headwall, and that's the big, steep, 40 to 50 degree snow slope.
And we are off. The majority of this video is gonna be a voiceover, just because I felt extremely overly self-conscious about talking to a camera in front of strangers. But you can see pretty much right after starting, the rain picked up, and it picked up pretty hard. You're getting soaked right away. This was one of a couple stream crossings that we had to do. It's just a great Pacific Northwest looking day. You can see there one of the guides is trying to make stepping stones by placing a rock, and it just gets washed over instantly. All the rain that's been coming down has been coming down for a couple days, and so the creek was flowing pretty heavily. This is the last guy to make it across, and I can happily say that nobody fell into the water. Right after the stream crossings is where the elevation started to kick in. There's no snow yet, but we were climbing up there and still getting rained on. This was the first snow we encountered, and then from this point on it was snow until 2 days later when we came back. This was our first break of the day, just getting water, snacks, and resting. You can see sort of in the center left of the screen, there was a rocky outcropping. That was the terminal moraine that we're going to be walking on in a couple seconds. And so right here we are cresting the terminal moraine, which is just an insane view. So we are on one moraine, and on the other side of this you can see the other moraine. And that's just where the glacier used to be and where it pushed and carved out. You can see a big U shape. That's where the glacier used to be. We're walking on one of the ridges of that. And there's my beautiful face. At this point, I was completely soaked, not from the rain, but because I was wearing the hard shell rain jacket and I was working hard, all the sweat was just getting trapped. So the camera's not really doing it justice here. The distance between this moraine and the moraine across the way is like half a mile. Definitely doesn't look that big, but it is just a massive carved out section. And this is just great foreshadowing for what is in store for the next couple of days. You can see behind me it's a complete whiteout. Here's a little marmot that was following us for a good amount of time. And as you can see, the whiteout's only getting worse. We're just going up into a cloud system. But it's totally fine. At this point we knew summit day, which was Sunday, was still going to be gorgeous, so really not that worried. And we made it to break number 2. This was right after the moraine walking. We were on there for a couple of miles.
Okay. Wanted to make sure they really didn't fly away. No, we appreciate that.
At this point, we only had a little bit of a push left to get to the high camp for the day, which was Sandy Camp. Unfortunately, you just can't see where we're going, so it seemed a lot longer than it was. Here's some people making base camp below where we were going to make camp. It was just exciting to see. Knew we were getting close. And this is one last big steep push up to a rocky outcropping where base camp was set up. And here's base camp. It was kind of lackluster just because the rain was picking up. It was cold, wet, everybody was soaked. Can't see anything, there's no views, but we were at camp, so that was exciting in itself. Again, it's just a complete whiteout. There are gorgeous views that we'll see later, but right now you can't see 10 feet in front of you. That little blue tarp is kind of the camp kitchen. It's where the guides would cook melt water and where they would hang out. That's the guides' tent they set up. You can see a massive moat next to that rock. Just see how deep that snow is. And this is actually where our bathroom was because nobody was camping under us on this side, so any runoff wouldn't get in people's drinking water. Dinner was actually pretty decent. It was pasta and chicken. It was actually really nice to have like a semi-home cooked fresh meal as opposed to just a dehydrated meal because I was still wearing my wet clothes. I was still very cold. And then I also had some hot tea to finish it off. Here I was just shooting the rain and the whiteout, and I noticed my tent mate left the rain fly open as he was going to bed.
Oh shit. Do you want me to zip this one up?
He was just getting rained on. And as the day went on, the conditions just got worse and worse. It somehow became even more of a whiteout. The wind picked up, the rain picked up, as you can hear. I was sharing this tent with two other guys. One of them snored all night, every night, and the other one would wake up in a coughing fit with an asthma attack. There's like nothing they can do about it, but that's partly why I didn't really sleep at all during this trip. Not to mention it was a little cramped. And good morning. I probably slept 2 hours that night. Wasn't that great, but I knew that a high pressure system was moving in, and so there it is. Pushed out all the clouds, or at least most of the clouds, and we just get our first views from camp. A little blocked by clouds, but way better than yesterday. You can see some of the other camps now, further down. Unfortunately, one of the peaks that you can see from the south side, Sherman Peak, is still covered by clouds, so still no view of Baker up top, but still better views than yesterday. Really can't complain. At this point, I've probably been up for an hour and was just getting breakfast, and look at that. We are in a cloud again. Just a total whiteout. There were some people that woke up later and didn't even get the views that morning, so all they know is just being in a cloud. That red streak in the snow that looks like a complete massacre happened there. That's actually an algae that hangs out in alpine conditions. It's called watermelon snow. Like I mentioned in the beginning, day 1 was up to high camp. Day 2 is like a skills day, so we ate our breakfast and then started going up towards the glacier just to practice some skills. Ice axe skills, crampon skills, how to walk on a glacier, how to go up, how to go down, crampon skills, just general mountaineering skills, how to walk as a rope team.
But just know that they are kind of for, they're really more for when you're doing like, say, ski mountaineering adventures.
This is me demonstrating professionally how to put on a crampon. So you step in and then you struggle with this latch and you mess it up. And that's pretty much how it's done.
Beautiful. Next technique is called the duck step. It's aptly named because it looks like this. I'm turning my feet out. I'm stepping every time.
After doing the mountaineering skills, we made our way back to the tents to have some lunch, drink some water, and to discuss the plan for the summit that night. When it was sunny out, I put all my things to dry out in the sun, and then the clouds moved in, and it really just got wetter, so it was a failure. The weather really changed all day. We were in and out of clouds, sometimes a whiteout, sometimes a little bit of clouds like this. These were people coming down from presumably the summit. They went up earlier that morning. I don't really think that they had a good summit day, if they even went up to the actual summit, because that was just completely covered in clouds the entire time. But it was probably their last day of the trip, so they just had to go for it. At this point, we talked about it, and the plan was to wake up at 11 p.m. that night and then head out at midnight for the summit. So everybody's just getting their packs together for the summit. It was like 3 p.m. at this point, so everybody was going to go to bed early, so we were having a really early dinner. Dinner, again, was like some fresh sort of gnocchi and meatballs. It was honestly really good. This is me reading the instructions for the wag bag, because if you poop on the mountain, you got to poop in a bag and carry it down. Of course, the one time I try to poop, the clouds clear up, and so I had all these people watching me, which was an experience, but I did it. It was honestly pretty upsetting that the clouds kept clearing up. Like, we kept getting better and better views, but it was pretty much bedtime if I was gonna get any sleep before the summit. And a little after 5, I made my way to bed. I took melatonin, so I was really hoping to get at least a little bit of sleep. I pretty much fell asleep at 6:30 and then woke up at 8:30. And then at 10:50, I decided, I'm going to wake everybody up because it was almost 11. At this point, I was running on 2 hours of sleep, 2 hours of sleep the night before. The melatonin was still in my system, and so I started chugging energy gels with caffeine in them to try to counteract that. I probably had 5 energy gels as my breakfast. And I think thanks to those energy gels, I was feeling really good. It was extremely cold in the dark, but once we started moving, I pretty much forgot about the cold. And a little after midnight, we started the hike up. There were 3 rope teams, each one led by a guide. I was initially the number 2, right behind the guide on my rope team, and then we were the first rope team of the whole group. I really only had my headlamp as a light source, so a lot of this video is just pitch black, but we're going to make the most of it. The summit plan was to hike for an hour at a time and then take a quick 5 to 10 minute break. Then after the break, you just go right back into another hour of climbing. And so that's what we did. Here we are at the first break. The first 2 rope teams were waiting on the third one for a good 10 minutes. And so at that point, the main guide decided to send some people back. There was one lady that honestly struggled to make it to high camp, so we all figured that she wasn't actually going to make it to the summit. But there was also a dude who was an avid hiker, and his heart rate went over 200, and he got really worried and decided not to keep going. So those 2 went back, and then there was a third guy who stayed at camp initially and didn't even try to do the summit at all. So there were 3 that didn't make it.
So we're going to do a little bit of rope reorganization here. We're going to add 1 spot each to mine and to Spencer's ropes. As we're all sitting here taking our break, again, let's make sure we're hydrating. Let's make sure we're eating something. And then I do want to encourage everybody to evaluate how we're feeling right now. We're going to be doing what we just did. In other words, ramp, and then it kind of mellows off, and then ramp and it mellows off. We'll have a couple more of those, and then it's pretty much ramp the rest of the way. So it's pretty full on after about 8,000 feet up. So again, if that felt tough, just know that the rest of this is going to be pretty on par with that, and at a certain point it will get a little bit harder. So
we did some reorg on the ropes. The 2 people that went back with the guide, so now there's just 2 rope teams with 2 guides. I'm now the number 3 because they put somebody in front of me. And we are just chugging along for a few hours, making our way up the glacier. At this point, we're pretty high up, just exposed completely on the side of a glacier, and the wind is just relentless. And this is the second break. It's probably 5 minutes.
Just lights.
Like, I was curious if I could see anything in the GoPro, and as you can tell, the answer is pretty much no. It does not do well in low light. I didn't manage to get it on camera, but during our ascent, there was a Starlink satellite rocket launch just over Mount Baker, and we all thought it was aliens coming to invade us. And in my sleep-deprived state, for a good minute, I really thought we were about to die.
Smells like sulfur.
Right here, it started smelling like sulfur, which meant that we were getting really close to the crater. At around 4:30 in the morning, we made it to the Sherman Crater. And so you can hear the wind, but then if you also listen, you can hear sulfuric gas just spewing out of the crater. And this crater is the actual volcanic active crater on Mount Baker, so it's super cool. I think right there I'm pointing out the true summit, but it is so windy, I can't even tell in editing what I said. So this is even before sunrise, and it just looks otherworldly up here. Getting the first real view of the North Cascades. Just so stunning. That was me choking on sulfuric gas, getting blown in my face. We managed to stay up here long enough for the sun to rise a little bit better, and now you get a great view of the Sherman Crater. So we're leaving the crater and headed up towards the final push. Final push is called the Roman Headwall, or Roman Wall. This is like a 50-degree slope up a snowy glacier mountain face. Right here you'll get a good view of the Roman Headwall. It is that entire thing that we are climbing. And it looks steep in the video, it's even steeper than that. You might notice that our ropes are a lot shorter. That's because this part's so steep that if one of us falls, we want to have short ropes to be able to catch the person before they start just pulling everybody down with them. I was pretty bad. I was excited to finally have some views, so I was paying more attention to the views than to the sketchiest part of the summit. On the left you can see Mount Rainier right there. It's so cool. And there's the shadow of the mountain. When a mountain casts a shadow like this, it's called a penumbra, and it is just such a cool thing to see. This is right after the Roman Headwall, so the hardest part's done. It's really just an easy little bit left to get to the actual summit. So we're taking one last quick break, trying to fix my helmet hair, and it's just, there's no fixing that. That is ugly.
North Cascades are too pretty. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
This is honestly such a cool shot, just walking into the sun, and there's the true summit just right in front of us. These are literally the final steps to get to the true summit. Couldn't have asked for a clearer day to summit. We looked out so hard. I mean, you can see everything. You can see Mount Rainier, you can see Mount St. Helens, Mount Adams, you can see Seattle, you can see Vancouver, you can see Vancouver Island, all of the North Cascades. It was just jaw-droppingly awesome. And down there, kind of center right, is the Sherman Crater, which is where we were just a little bit ago. And then sadly it was time to go. The sun was up and it was going to start melting the snow real fast. So we wanted to minimize time on the glacier. So we made it to the peak at sunrise just after 6 a.m., spent a little bit of time up there, and then it was time to head back to camp, pack up all our stuff, and then head back to the car. This is right before descending the Roman Headwall. I didn't feel like dying that day, so I didn't bring my camera out. I was focused on not tripping. So I didn't get any video descending.
You kind of get sick of it, right?
But this is a break right back at the Sherman Crater.
I always bring something fresh.
Right after descending the Roman Headwall.
Yeah.
And you can see there's a lot more groups out right now. Because this was the third day of our 3-day trek, the guys had to be back at like 3 p.m. So that's why we left so early, and that's why we were the first ones up on the peak. And there's a baby crevasse that we couldn't see on the way up. And there's a bigger baby crevasse that we couldn't see on the way up. So this is really what the majority of the descent looked like. The sun was doing a real good job of turning the top layer of snow into slushy snow. We really didn't have that many breaks on the way down. I think this was 2 of 2. If you look behind my weird looking face there, you can actually see the Sherman Crater and then the Roman Headwall that we just came down. This is another crevasse that we're going over. We were pretty early still in the season. This was late June. And so all these crevasses weren't that big of a deal, but as the season went on, I'm sure those opened up like crazy. And just like that, we are back at camp. I think it ended up being 6 hours up and then a little over 3 hours back to camp. From here, we can break for like 45 minutes and then let's pack up all our stuff and then head back to the cars.
Looks good, guys.
Hey! Way to go, man.
Hey, let's hear. We did it.
This is probably the most upset I was on the whole trip. As I was unpacking my bag, I realized that I brought my poop bag up with me that was full. I brought it all the way up to the summit, and I didn't need to because another guy said that I could use his extra, but live and learn. So with everything packed up, we all headed back down, making our way back to the cars. Trying to make up for the lack of views on the first 2 days and just soaking in all the views on this last day. It really is just insanely gorgeous. And on our way up, this was completely whited out. Couldn't see anything. Couldn't see Baker. Couldn't see 10 feet in front of me. So I was ecstatic. Just a completely clear day. Okay, I'm totally dead. That was 14 hours pretty much straight of hiking. I also got like 2 hours of sleep probably last night, and I've been up since 8:30 p.m. I'm also sunburned like crazy. I just got serviced again and texted my girlfriend. And I told her I want to eat all the food that I possibly can. And she said, okay, we can arrange that. So that's what I'm gonna go do. And I'm probably gonna go catch up on sleep. Because I think in those 2 nights on the mountain, I probably got 4 hours of sleep altogether. But I hope the video turned out okay. I feel like the majority of the videos are either pitch black or in a cloud and all foggy and you can't see anything. So we'll see how it turns out.